welcome back. Tonight I'm going to be introducing a new Solitaire game that I have not yet covered on this channel. It is called 36, and it is somewhat similar to a game we played in the past called Flower Garden, but there are some differences. As you can see, we're on a new backdrop today. We might not necessarily use this permanently. If people don't like it, we can switch back to the old one, but I just wanted to show this off because a family member recently gave me this as a gift. They know that I have a YouTube channel where I play card games, and they thought it would be cool to get me one of these green felt tops like the kind they use in casinos. And so to go with the theme, we're going to be playing with a casino deck, the Chemico casino deck. This is actually currently the only casino deck I own, which is surprising. I've added so many decks to my collection in the last few months, but I've never picked up any more casino decks. Maybe that's a blind spot in my collection that we'll have to fill. This is actually one of the first decks I bought, and it's been a long time since we used it on the channel. So like I said, 36 is slightly similar to a Flower Garden, but instead of having a reserve of cards that you can choose from, the game uses a stock-and-wastepile system. This makes the game a little bit harder, so to make up for that, this game also allows you to move sequences of cards with no penalty, a rule which is sometimes called relaxed. If you don't know the rules of either Flower Garden or 36, I will go over them in full once I've finished shuffling, which will be right now. So, 36 is played on a 6x6 tableau, hence the name. You'll deal out, let's move this a little more to the left, 6 rows of 6 cards each, which, if you've seen my Flower Garden video, or if you've played Flower Garden yourself, probably sounds familiar. That game also uses a 6x6 tableau. The rest of the cards go in a pile called the stock. The goal of the game is to move all of the cards into 4 foundation piles. The foundation piles, which we'll be stacking over here on the right side, are built up in suit from ace to king. So you would find an ace and move it to the foundation. Then you would move a 2 of the same suit on top of the ace, then a 3 and a 4, etc., and you would go all the way up to king. And once you've stacked all 4 foundation piles up to king, you've won the game. This arrangement of cards here is called the tableau, and on the tableau you stack in descending sequence regardless of suit. for example, any 10 can be placed on top of any jack. You may move one card at a time, or you may move a properly built sequence of cards. So for example, let's say I had Jack 10 9. I could move all 3 cards starting with the Jack as long as I move them on top of a Queen, so it must build a complete sequence at the destination. And the cards do not need to be in suit to move them as a group in this game. Once we've made all the moves on the tableau that we want to make, we can start drawing from the stockpile one at a time and placing the cards into the waste pile. The top card of the waste pile is available for play to any of the tableau piles or to one of the foundation piles. We can keep going through the stock until we run out of cards, and once we run out of cards, there are no redeals. So if we run out of cards in the stock and there are no more moves remaining, the game is lost. Now this game apparently has a very high chance of being winnable, I believe over 90%, but it is not always easy to capitalize on that 90% because you do not know the order of the cards in the stock. So there is still a bit of luck involved, but it should theoretically be winnable most of the time. And that's it. So let's get started. And I think before we start going through the stock, I'm going to move this 10 here onto the jack and move these 2s onto the 3s. What I'm really hoping for is a 6 and an 8. A 4 would also be nice, actually, so we can move the 3 to. I see 3 of our 4s are already on the field, so we don't know when that last one is going to come. Let's start drawing. I don't think this 10 is going to be useful, so I think we're not going to play that right now. We get an 8. An 8 would be nice, but we don't have a 9 to put it on right now. So I think we're going to have to leave this, but hopefully this next card is something useful, and it was. That was the best card we could have hoped for. So now we can do this. We can play the 6 onto the 7, the 5 onto the 6, and then we can move this 8 onto the 9 and move this stack here onto the 8. Now I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to move this 10 here onto this jack, move this jack over here onto the queen. Then I'm going to shift this stack here, the 9 through 5, onto the 10. We unlock this 4. I will move the 4 right here. Then move this 3 and 2. These might be going off the screen, so I'll stack them like that. We're very close to getting an empty pile, but we need another 5. And I don't know if we actually have one that's going to be obtainable for us, actually. We do have some options. Let's do this. Move this 10 here. And a 3 would get us the ace of spades, which would make things a lot easier, I think. But first we need a 3. But I think we might have most of the 3s on the field. We have 1, 2, and 3. There's one more 3 in the stock. So hopefully that doesn't take too long to show up. We've got a 6, an 8. It's tempting whether or not we want to play the 8. I think I'm not going to play the 8 because I want to be able to move one of these 8s onto one of the 9s. So let's continue drawing. A queen. Unfortunately, we don't have any kings to put that queen on. It would probably be pretty useful though, so we would have a place to put some of these jacks. Also, I'm unfortunately just now realizing how big of a mistake I made not taking that 8 when I had the chance, because we could have moved either this 7 or this 7 to it, getting us an empty space. So that was a big mistake by not taking that 8. Unfortunately, I don't like to undo moves, so we're just going to have to live with the consequences of that action. Okay, this is a good card to get. We actually can get an empty space now by doing this. Now, how do we want to make use of that empty space? We could take this as well. I might end up doing that. So first I think I'm going to do this. Move this 2 like that. Then shift this jack over. And now we get this ace and we can get our empty space back like this. And I think I'm going to take this as well. Now what I think I'm going to do, I'm going to play this, play the king and the queen. Then I'm going to play this 8 to the 9 so we get that 8 back now. And we can take that. And now let's do this. We'll move this jack over here onto the queen. Let's move this king into the empty space. We take the ace of clubs. Now I'm going to take the 2 of clubs, but I'm not going to take the 3 of clubs. I'm going to leave it there so we can move this 2 onto the 3, and then I'm going to move the 6 and 5 onto the 7. Let's move this queen jack 10 over here onto the king. This 4 right here. Then we can shift this 3 and 2 like this. This 9 over here onto the 10. And with 2 empty spaces, we can move this king and jack. Then move the queen onto the king and the jack like this. And let's move this 8 onto the 9. And now with our stacks in such a good order, I have a hard time seeing how we could lose this. We'll take this 10 and we'll move this king like this. Shift this queen stack over onto the king. And this, we'll move this 7 onto this pile, then the 6, and then this 5 can go there, and we'll swap these around so the 7 is on top of the 8. Oh, I just realized during the initial rule explanation I forgot to mention that if you get an empty space, you can put any card there. I'll just add that in post. And we should be able to finish the game pretty easily once we get this ace. So now we just have to stack up the piles. And this game is pretty much won. Let's just see what the next card in the stock is. It's a 4 and then a 9. And now we have officially won. We can just stack up the rest of our foundation piles. So there was our first game of 36. A win. It can be a little tricky sometimes, but I think the fact that you can move full sequences as a unit makes the game a lot more lenient than it might seem at first glance. Like I said, this game has a pretty high chance of being winnable. Pretty Good Solitaire also classifies it as a high skill game, and I can see that. There's quite a bit of interesting decision making and puzzle solving elements to this one. I think this is actually one of my favorite closed games. And it feels very fair. That spread wasn't perfect, but you can see everything is in order. Alright. So, that was our first game. Let's play another. I guess I should say that this is one of my favorite one-deck close-it games, because in terms of all solitaire games, I think I probably prefer 40 Thieves and its variants. Also, I mentioned this in my last video, my 4 Against Darkness video, but I figured I'd mention it again since I know not everyone watches those videos. We just hit 1,500 subscribers. I can't thank you all enough. I never thought I would get this far. It's so awesome that there are so many of you who like these videos and watch them and want to see more of them. So I can't thank you all enough, especially the people who leave comments on the videos. But even if you don't leave comments or likes, if you just watch the videos and enjoy them, that's enough. So thank you all. Let's deal out our next game. Nice. We get an ace on the top row. Always good to see. Unfortunately, we also get a king on the top row, which is not so nice to see. Let's take that ace. And let's see if we can work our way to an empty pile. Now we can at least save this 2 by doing this. So good to not let that get stuck at the bottom of the waste pile. We're going to need a lot of good cards. I just realized all of our 7s are buried. So actually not looking very good for this one. Wait, there are some moves that I'm seeing. We can get the ace of diamonds. Now an ace, or an 8, sorry, an 8 would be very helpful right now. A jack and a 10 would also be helpful. There is still 1 jack in the deck, and there are 1 jack and 1 10 in the stock. So not great odds there. And remember, they have to come in that order as well, so that's a 50-50 chance right there. Actually, I'm seeing a move I was not considering before. We can actually get an empty pile right now because we have 6, 5, 4, 3, 2 right here, and we can shift that over onto the 7. We have the ace of hearts, so we can take the 2. Now we get the ace of clubs. We'll take the 2 of clubs as well. Now this 5 and 4 can be shifted onto the 6, and we can move this 3 onto the 4, and look at that. We've got our first empty pile. Now the ace of clubs, spades, is still in the stock. Otherwise, I would be very tempted to make this move here, the queen and the king to the empty space, and then the jack and the 10 on top. We could still move this 2 onto the 3, and then take the 2 of diamonds, but we have nowhere for this jack currently. We could move the 10 and 9 onto the jack, but without our empty space, I think we would kind of be in a tough spot. I think we're going to start drawing from the stock and see what comes up. With this 8 is actually very nice because now we can shift this 7 pile onto it. And now I think I'm more confident to make this move right here. And we'll put this 2. I guess it doesn't matter which one because we can always shift it around. Now let's shift this entire 10 pile right here over onto this jack. This 9, let's move this 9 onto the 10. And this 6, 5 right here on. Wait, do we want to do that? Do we want to shift this 6 instead? No, I think this is the one I want to do. Whoops, that's the wrong pile. Right there. And let's move this 9 and 8 to the empty space and take this 3 of clubs. We can move the 7, 6, 5 onto the 8. And now I think we want to start drawing again. 8, 9. Fortunately, I don't think that's very helpful right now. 3 of hearts. Let's put that on the foundation. 4 of clubs. I think I'm going to, sorry, spades. I keep saying clubs instead of spades. Let's move the 3 of diamonds and the 4 of clubs to the foundation and then move this 4 like that. Here we go. This might be useful. 10. Now we can shift this 9 pile onto the jack. Now here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to move this 3 and 2 to one of the empty spaces, then play this 4, 5, and 6 to the foundation. Now I'm going to shift this over like that. And now we can move this 3 and 2 back on top of that 4 like that. Now we can almost empty out this pile and get to the 10, but I think we need an 8 first. No, we need more than just an 8. We need a 4 of hearts, I think. That's what we're looking for. No, wait, we don't, because we can pull that same move again. Move that to the empty space, move the 5 to the foundation, and then shift that 5 over like this. Now, let's move that to the empty space. This 7 can go straight to the foundation. Then that king goes like that. And we'll move this 9. Now we lost our empty space, but I think that's okay. We're looking for, there we go, there's our ace of spades. That's very nice. Let's draw again. We get a queen. We can use that. We can get another empty space back by shifting this jack over. There's our 4 of hearts, and this game is looking like another win. We'll move this jack to an empty space so that we can get to that 7. And move that to the foundation. And let's move this 6 now into this 7. We're going to hold off before we move the 8. Actually, I didn't realize we already have the 6, so we can start stacking these up as well. Yeah, this game is definitely looking like it's pretty much won. We can stack up to 9 safely because our lowest foundations are 7. which means it's safe to go up to 9. And we'll continue drawing. There's a king, we'll leave that in the waste pile. We can play that queen to the king, and then this jack goes on top. And there we go, there's our ace, or our 8 of clubs. We stack that up to 9, and now we're just waiting for the 8 of spades. And there we go, another win. I really like this game. It's nice to play a closed game that is mentally engaging, but also winnable most of the time. Alright, I think we'll do one more game before calling it for this video. I thought about possibly playing Canfield for this video, because the story goes that Canfield was originally a casino game. And I thought it would be fun to go with the kind of casino theme that we've got going here today. But I decided not to. I also thought about maybe playing Free Cell, because we've been playing Microsoft Free Cell in the bonus videos, and that game uses the green background, so I thought it would be kind of fun to play a real Free Cell with the green background, but since we're already playing so much Free Cell, I figured I'd play something else today, and I went with this. As always, if you'd like to see some more Free Cell, some real life Free Cell, just leave a comment letting me know. I always am interested to hear what people want to see. So let's start our final game here. Oh boy. Oh my goodness. That's crazy. So this is going to be a tough one. That reminds me of drawing the 3 aces in a row in the Tri-Peaks video. I don't think I've ever had that happen before that Tri-Peaks video, and then it happened again in this video. And there's the 4th ace. This is going to be a real challenge. We'll see if this one is doable. I don't know though. Having all of the aces so deep like that. It does make this pile very appealing though. With the 2 aces at the bottom, we might try to see if we can empty out that pile first. And now we can't because there's a king there. So, geez. We have to empty out a different pile first before we can even start going for that one. If all of the ace piles end up with kings on top, I just don't even know what I would do. This is so brutal. I don't know if this is going to be possible. Okay. Let's see what the stock card is. It's an 8. And we don't even really have any good places to start trying to undo this pile, because I guess we can get a 5 right here, but we need 2 4s. think this one is going to end up being not possible. It looks very, very rough so far. So let's just make some moves. Okay, actually we do have 2 5s available. And there are 3 4s in the deck. But we still need 8 and 7 to move the 6, and we need another Jack and 10 to get that 9. Oh, we have the 8, right. Forgot about that. We drew it from the stock. Okay, so we just need a 7. We need 2 4s. Also, I forgot about this 4. So there's 2 4s in the deck. We need both of them. We also need a 7. There's 1 7 on the field, so there's 3 in the stock. And there we go. We got it right away, but we still need those 4s before we have a chance. There's another 8. That Jack, okay. 8-2. We will play it, I think. Just to hold on to it. Okay, there's a... Hang on. So we can get to that 4. We're going to leave this... we're going to start stacking it like this so we can actually see all the cards. But we can start... We just need 1 more 4. Oh, no, I shouldn't have done that. Because I was saving that for the 6. For this 6, I should not have played that 6. That was a bad move. I wasn't thinking enough ahead. Okay, well, a 10 would be a good card. We would get an empty space out of a 10. Let's hope we get one. Oh, wait. But we have this 9 right here. So let's play this 8 and 7 like that. Okay, we're still in the game. And there's a 10. Oh, that's perfect. We actually get an empty space. I thought this game had no chance, but the stock is coming in a really good order. We might still not have a chance. It's still pretty thin, I think, but thin odds. But I don't know. I think it could be possible. Okay, there's our 4. And the 6 can come down here. And now we get our ace of hearts. So let's move this over. Now I think we need another empty space because we have 2 kings in this pile. So it definitely felt like it was getting better, but I still think it might be too much still. I think there's a move we can make if we get a 10. Or we need a jack too. Well, we can move this king pile to the empty space. And we get the jack. Yeah, if we get a 10. If we get a 10, we potentially have a move. No, because we can't move this 3-2. We would need a 5 and a 4. Well, we can move this down. We can move this like this. But then we would need a 6. I don't know, let's see if we get that 10. We'll move this to the foundation. Okay, there's the 6. I don't think we can do anything with it though. I think we're 1 empty space short. Okay, so we've got the 10. So let's just try this. I don't think it goes anywhere though. Let's see. So we play this 10 to the jack, then this 9, this 3 and 2 go to the empty space like that. Then this comes over, then we shift the jack pile over onto the queen, and then the queen over back onto the king. Unfortunately, I think we run into a roadblock. Once we hit that 6, we can move the 2, there's 7 in the deck. I think there is 1. So we have 1, 2, 3. If that's... Oh no, it's right here. And we can't get past this 6. Oh, I think it's over. This last card is a 4. That's not going to do it. Oh, it was really looking like we might have had a way to come back. And in fact, I think this game, I have to assume this game was winnable. We just came so close to breaking through, and there were a few spots where I made some moves that I think were bad. So I'm pretty sure this one was in fact winnable. But I made some mistakes, and I think that ended up costing me the game. Still, I think it goes to show how fair this game is, because that looked like, just from those first 2 rows, it looked like we were going to have no chance, but it still ended up being pretty close to breaking open. But that is going to be it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Like I said, this is, in my opinion, a great example of a closed game. The win rate is great. It has a lot of strategy to it, lots of player choice, and just an overall very interesting game. And a very underrated game. I don't see all that many people talking about this one, but I think it is very well balanced. That's going to be it for this video. If you liked this video and you're still awake, consider subscribing. The main things we've been doing on this channel lately, besides the Solitaire videos, has been the 4 Against Darkness RPG series. It is a tabletop RPG, so lots of paper shuffling, pen and pencil sounds, and dice rolling. So if that sounds like something that you'd be interested, consider subscribing. The general schedule has been alternating between doing 4 Against Darkness and Solitaire, so my next main video should be a 4 Against Darkness video. And I also sneak in some bonus videos in between my main videos, usually me playing games on the computer. But for now, I hope you enjoyed this video. Have a great night and sleep well.